What's up, everyone? Welcome to the most real podcast you'll ever listen to. This is Unpolished, told by KirkSlay, and I am GlamSlay.
And this is Kirk, and we are back at it with another episode for y'all today. Um, this one is a little tough to discuss. One that really I feel like it hit home, and it should hit home for everyone. But we really felt like we should talk about it. This topic today, and that topic is bullying. But overall, are adults raising bullies?
Yes. I think you know how much it impacted me when I brought it to you. It hits home for so many reasons. I'm a mom of a boy, an athletic boy, an outgoing boy, a boy that has been bullied. And so I feel like I've experienced so many different things. And I accidentally, Kirk and I were talking about pod topics, and, we have lists of things that we want to talk about. But for whatever reason, I was going through my Google news feed while we were talking because I can do 17 things at once. And this article came up, and it was about a 10-year-old boy that committed suicide because he was being bullied. And I stopped everything I was doing. I think I screeched, and I said to Kirk, like, whoa,
Yeah.
you need to read this article.
And it was, I just couldn't believe that, honestly. I obviously, like, sometimes, like, these things are going on, but it's when you read an article like that where it's just brought back up, and it's like, wow, like, how does something like this happen? And who, I just had so many questions, like, how did something like that happen? Who allowed this to happen? Just so many thoughts,
Yeah, so I had so many questions, but it also, like, happened at weird timing because we had just had an incident happen. So for me, it was, like, still really new, fresh, and but then in true GlamSlay fashion, I went on CSI, right, and started Googling all this stuff and really wanted to learn about what was happening, and I found a lot.
And
it led to this, and I feel like it fueled this. So, Kirk, did you know that? So I found this on CNN News. 3,600 children under the age of 13 died by suicide due to bullying in the last 2 decades. That's 180 kids.
That's 180 kids too many.
A year. Like, that is wild to me. I can't even fathom how most of these stories none of you would see, right? Like, you really have to fish for them. I went digging for this topic because it has to stop. And, as a mom with a big mouth that is not always, we talked about this in our Who, What, Why. Like, I'm told to shut my mouth, right? Because I say the things that I shouldn't say, that nobody wants to hear. And I have been silenced talking about bullying in the new area that we moved to, in the new school district. Like, you don't talk about that. You're not supposed to say it.
Well,
or
it seems like that's the same type of stuff that's going on these other places too. Which it definitely shouldn't be. Like, these are topics that we should be raising awareness on. These are our children.
1,000%. And so the article that I stumbled upon happened to be not too far from home. It happened in Westchester County, New York, which is very close to where you grew up, or your parents live.
Yeah,
close to where I used to live, like, not too far from home. A little boy by the name of, and I might not say his name right, Gianlucas Ilescas. I hope I said that right. The little boy was 10 years old. He hung himself in his bedroom. His parents found him. Imagine that. Like, I can't even fathom that. He was being bullied every single day at school. And he went home and told his parents this and would beg his parents to let him stay home. And they were like, no, you got to go to school. You got to go to school. They were telling the teachers. The teachers just said they didn't have time to listen to this nonsense, which that's mind-blowing all in itself.
Well, let's just say that the parents did what they were supposed to do. They listened to their kid, and they told the school, told the teachers, and no action. Like I just
I don't know. This
that's
is where
crazy.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, because why didn't the parents walk into the school and actually
Well,
find out what was happening?
we don't necessarily know that.
We don't know, but I'm saying, like, you're saying that the parents did what they were supposed to do. Fine, they told the school. But, like, if my kid is coming home every day crying and begging me to not go, like, my child will say, I don't want to go to school because I don't want to do math. Like, that's
Yeah, that's like normal.
that's
Not wanting to go to school stuff.
it's a 9-year-old, like, this boy was begging his parents to let him stay home. And we don't know what happened, right? Like, I'm not going to jump to conclusions. It triggered me. It triggered me to look more into this and these statistics, and then rewind a couple months back. Another story that was not out in the open unless you're looking for it, right? A 14-year-old girl back in February, her name was Adriana Kush. She committed suicide after she was being bullied for months. But get this part of it. She was attacked in her own school in the hallway while she was walking with her boyfriend. And it was filmed for TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Okay? The kids posted it on those platforms. And it was on the school surveillance. Okay? Her father went to the school and said, what are you going to do? My daughter is injured. The ambulance should have been called. They let her go through the whole day like that. She went to the school nurse. The father was infuriated. Those girls that attacked his daughter went back to school the next day. They should have been expelled.
Right.
After the video went viral. Okay? She killed herself. The stepmother found her hanging in a bedroom, which is something that no parent should ever have to see. And then the superintendent resigned from the school.
Yeah, as they should.
Are you kidding me? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I had a mom. So in the school district that we're in, there was a mom that was on the Facebook group or whatever, and she was new to the school, and apparently her daughter was being bullied. She put it out there in the Facebook group that I don't ever respond to unless I feel like it's dire emergency, like somebody needs help, because honestly, it's a bunch of petty nonsense that goes on in there. This mother put a legitimate question. Who do I go to? What are the rules and policies around bullying, and who can I go to?
Right.
No one says a word. Crickets. Well, guess who responded to her?
But usually they're already chirping about a whole bunch of nonsense.
About a bunch of crap that is not necessary. I responded to this woman because I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell her what to do because I had to do it. And I told her to go to the superintendent, and that was frowned upon. I shouldn't have said that because it's not supporting the school. My ass. Because you better believe that when it was happening to my son, and I said to the teacher, I went to the principal. He told me to take it upon myself if I felt like nothing was being done. So I found the mother. I found the little girl's mother, and I called her, and she was horrified because I called her. I got her phone number.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Hey, listen. The superintendent said go take it upon yourself.
He told me to take it upon myself. That was a horrible idea, knowing who I am.
They wanted to act like that and not do their jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, and listen, I get it. Like, I understand. You know, teachers and whatnot have a whole bunch of things to do. Obviously, it's hard to try to mold a bunch of 20 different kids and mold their minds, and there's a lot going on. I get it, but like complaints like that can't go not investigated, not addressed. You got to keep an eye out for that kind of thing. And when you see it, you got to nip it, And like, are we just not, like, our schools just not even paying attention to that kind of stuff? They're just like, oh, kids are being kids. Like, I think that's bull.
I'm going to tell you what it is because it was told to me that it's beyond their pay grade. For 8 hours a day that my child is in your care, I don't care how much you're getting paid. It is your responsibility to make sure that they are safe. And school is supposed to be a safe place for kids.
Right.
But I'm telling you, like, this is a product of how they're being raised. You know it just as well as I do.
I believe that.
I teach my
believe that.
son, you care for kids. If you see somebody, sitting by themselves, go sit with them. Don't ever let anyone eat alone. If you see someone being made fun of, help them. And he lives by that. Like, my kid, he lives by that. He will
Oh, for
help
sure.
everyone. And so when it happened to him, it was a girl. Okay. She put her hands on him. And I will say that that was a proud mom moment, because when he told me the story, he said, Mom, you told me to never put my hands on a girl. So I just sat there. And I felt for him in that moment, because he did the right thing. But no little girl at 9 years old should be putting their hands on a boy.
Right.
That
No
just shows how you're being.
On anybody either.
Exactly. I mean, self-defense is self-defense. He couldn't defend himself, so he was helpless. And his friends saw it happen. I went to the school, and the teacher was like distraught, because they're not taught what to do when something like that happens. And that's the problem with our school system. This is the problem. This is why a superintendent is resigning after a child commits suicide under his walls, right? Like he saw what happened. He saw her get attacked. Nothing was done. He resigns. He's running away.
Yeah.
And that to me is just like, we can't do this. And then you have the other kids that my son got hurt at school last week pretty bad. He fell. A little boy that I know his mom. She is one of the sweetest people. I don't know her well, but I know enough to know. This boy ran over, helped my son, picked him up, cleaned him off, brought him to the nurse. I mean, it was a pretty bad fall, so he was pretty banged up. This little boy, like, that's a product of the parent. And so we need to be very mindful how we are raising our children, because there is something wrong with these kids that are bullying others.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think, as with many things, it all starts at home, right?
Yeah.
And we got to be better.
Adults are bad. So, Kirk, I want to share. I coached soccer this season, right, with my best friend, Dawn. Our boys are both on the same team. We had an unruly one on the team. He was unruly from the time he started. We warned him several times to behave. He was nasty with his mouth. He would say very nasty and demeaning things.
How old are we talking? We're talking
9 years old. The things that were coming out of his mouth, to the point, like, Dawn and I would look at each other and be like, where is he getting this from? Like, the words he was saying would only come from an adult. So he had to have heard these things at home. We warned him several times. If it was you, I know for a fact, because I remember when you were coaching, you would have thrown this boy off your team.
For sure.
He would have never made it. We let him stay. The very last game of the season, I brought a cooler full of ice cream. We did not win, but I promised the boys that we would have ice cream, and so I'm a girl of my word. We did. He decided during the game to say something very nasty to one of his opponents on the bench while I was giving one of his teammates, while I was giving his teammate a pep talk, because he was upset. The unruly little boy looked at his teammate and said something incredibly nasty that I won't repeat. And the boy got upset. And I looked and I said, that's it. You're done. You're sitting out for the rest of the game. Sit here and be quiet. I had it. I warned him.
All right, coach.
I'm sorry. Like, if it was my own kid, I would have done the same thing. The problem is my own kid wouldn't have done that.
Right.
Because he knows better. And so at the end of the game,
he was raised different.
He was I'm sorry. Like, this, we have morals and we have respect and we have empathy and kindness to people. Because people weren't always nice to me as a kid. I know what that feels like. So fast forward, the end of the game, everybody's eating their ice cream. The boys walk off. I'm walking to my car. My son is straggling behind me, right, eating his popsicle. And the mother says, can I ask you a question? The mother of the unruly boy. So I said, sure. What's up? Because I knew it was coming. I knew. I'm like, this woman is going to try me and I am going to go sideways. But I kept my cool. And she said, can I ask you why so-and-so sat on the bench? We came here to watch him play soccer. And I said, why don't you ask your son? He said something nasty. I don't tolerate that. He was warned, and any other coach would have kicked him off this team the second day of practice. And she looked at me appalled. So then she starts yelling. You witnessed half of this.
I caught the end of it.
From afar. I, being the mom, in air quotes, because had Ratchet Nikki come out, it would have ended much different. But seeing that I'm a coach and there was a field full of children, I kindly said to her, please stop talking. This conversation is over. Walk to your car and let it go. Because it was the not my son, not my kid, not my, please. She got unruly. I told her to knock it off, and I started to walk away. She kept going, and that's when in comes Kirk.
Well, no, I mean, it clearly just explains the reason why their child acts and says and speaks the way that he does.
Yeah.
We saw an exact reason as to why.
But I also had...
knowing, like, that it came from home. Like...
But I also had several witnesses. You, our friends. There were a lot of people around that heard her. Kirk asked if I was okay. I said everything's fine. Told the mother to get in her car. My son was right behind me, heard me say, I'm done. And he was like, Mom, that was good. Because he acknowledged the fact that I was trying to diffuse the situation. She proceeds to get in her car. Her husband, who was in the car the entire time, rolls down his window and says, your kid sucks.
As they're
driving away.
Soft.
What grown man in front of children, in front of his own child, says that about someone else? Mind you, I want to disclose here, not just because he's my kid, but my son was one of the star players on the team. Okay,
yeah, he was a hater.
That's all I'm going to say. He's an athlete.
But that's just soft. That's, cowardly.
It was disgusting. Jinx.
Disgusting.
It was disgusting. That's the best way that I could describe it.
But, like I said, people show their true colors. They show themselves. They show exactly, why their child is the way he is. And
but that, to me, is raising a bully.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
For sure.
That
kid because whatever he said to the other boy on the sideline was bullying.
And I reported it.
And you said you said he had been doing it multiple times throughout the season.
He was demeaning his peers. We don't do that. We lift our peers up. We don't demean them. And I warned him numerous times. I reported it to the soccer association, and I told them the whole story. And they said, I have your back. Don't worry about it. I feel like I've heard that mother's name before. And when the guy said that, I was like, oh my God, she's that lady. She's the Karen of the group.
So just being extra.
But this hits home. I think that's why it hit home for me. Gian Lucas, Adriana, these kids are not the only ones. There was also a little boy in March. He was 13 years old. His name was Terry Badger. He was a baseball star, like super athlete, incredibly happy, always kind, was going to school. Kids were harassing him, bullying him, telling him he sucked at sports because they were jealous.
That's so crazy.
Telling him that he was nothing. He was a loser. The little boy killed himself. Went home one day and hung himself, and his parents found him. And the dad went to the school and was like, what are you doing? What? You knew he was getting bullied. And you know what the teacher said to him? I can't control kids.
Yeah, that's just crazy to me, man.
Disgusting.
I just don't understand how like there's nothing that can be done. Like you don't, like, if you see it, like, you got to nip it, like, you know what I'm saying?
I just feel like they're
teachers, administrators, like, your job as well as molding minds and teaching is to make sure that these kids come home the way that they came in.
But you also at home have to do a pulse check. Like, I am my kid's face.
But these articles that you've shared, like, the parents are pulse checking. They're hearing the complaints, and then they bring it to the school's attention, and nothing happens of it. And then next thing you know, it's going on for months, and then their kid does what they've done. But it's just like, How many times does it has to happen before there's laws or some kind of policy put in place? Like we got the zero tolerance stuff in school, but then but once there's a complaint about it, how is that being dealt with? How is that being investigated? These things are not being investigated. You know what I'm saying? And then and nobody says anything until the really bad happens, right?
But can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And you might have to really dig deep. When you were 10, 11, 12, did you even know what committing suicide was? Did you know, like,
I mean, yeah, but it
would you
never.
even know how to do that?
I when I was 11, a girl that I was friends with, I even went to her house for a birthday party. She was being bullied as well. People were picking on her, and we didn't. I mean, I didn't know it. I was just friends with her. Like I talked to her a lot, and one day she came home and her mom found her. Same thing, hung herself. 11 years old.
What did you think though? I thought, like, did you even know? How does a kid
I
know
was
what
just,
to do?
just. I mean, I don't know how they know, but I was just, at a loss. Like I didn't even know she was even being picked on by kids.
Did you ask your parents questions? Like, I'm sure you
No, I
had
mean,
so many.
I'm sure they talked to me about it or something because I know that they had made it aware, and like being that I knew the girl, like she was on my bus. You know what I'm saying? Like she lived right around the corner from my house. I went to her house for her birthday party. You know what I'm saying? So I knew the family.
You know what I don't like when people say, "Oh, that person was so happy. Oh, they were laughing. They were so kind." Like, you don't see what's on the inside.
Yeah, it was a front.
You don't. It's most of the time the people that appear so happy, like they
Right.
say, check on your strong friends. My kid is very happy, and it scares me when things like that happen to him. You know, the situation that he had. The kids teased him with sports because they were jealous of him because he ran fast, and it forced him to not want to play baseball anymore. And I think about those things and it scares the life out of me because he is such a happy, vibrant kid. I have to make sure at all times that he's okay. Like, are you good? Are you okay? You know, like, I don't even know what else to do because as a parent, that's my biggest
Right.
fear.
But I mean, it's just continual uplift. Um, I know you're very uplifting. You know,
But kids are mean. They're so mean.
they are, but at the end of the day, like I think. Well, I mean, I think Logan. I think he knows. Like I don't know.
I mean, you say that, but like everybody thinks their kid knows, you know, and it's just like adults are mean. And that's where I
Adults are
get
the
this
worst.
whole like adults are raising bullies. Like I
Yeah,
know a
adults are the
girl
worst.
that has mentally and emotionally bullied me through words, through work. And I hear her tell stories and I'm like, "Oh my god, your kid you're raising that.
Yeah.
You're you are showing her that that's okay because that's how you speak to
Well,
people."
the same thing is happening to these kids that are doing it to Logan. They're hearing it from home because I've heard it on the sidelines.
That's sick. You've heard it from parents.
I've heard it from parents on the sidelines, and them saying the same thing.
Like, what are they saying? I can't even. What do they say?
Like just like
You
oh they're
suck.
no
That kid sucks.
oh here he goes again. He's just speedy, like fast. He's just that's all he got is speed. Da-da-da. Like little jabs like that, and it's like, yo, who are you talking to, dude?
I seriously want to left hook these people in the face.
You know?
Like, you are grown adults behaving badly, which is reflecting on your children.
So like they're sharing, they're saying that same stuff on the sidelines. I mean, I'm sorry, saying the same things at home, and their kids are
Hearing it.
hearing it and then just repeating it.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I could tell this little boy when he was coming to practice, the things that he was sharing with us were not 9-year-old things.
Right.
And I'm like, your mom is saying that. Like, you
Right.
heard your mom say it and you came here and said it. And Dawn and I would just look at each other like, what in the hell? Like, this is not normal. And this bullying stuff, you guys, has to stop. And that's why we wanted to talk about it. I don't want to let this go. There has to be justice for these kids and prevention because, right, like when it happens, it's too late. So there has to be prevention and there has to be moms like me with a big mouth that speak up because this stuff is not okay. I I did learn, though, Kirk, through my investigation, something that I really do want to celebrate and make a big deal about is October 2nd is World Day of Bullying Prevention. And so apparently it's like a really big day. You're supposed to wear blue, so we're all going to wear blue.
Yeah, for sure.
And the hashtag is BeKind. So we will be revisiting this. We will celebrate that day in October. I feel like as a mom, I will continue to talk about this stuff. And I will continue to talk about it with my son, right? Because if he ever says like someone is being treated poorly, I take a moment to talk to him about what's happening. What can he do to help? How can he change that? How can he be an influence? And I think as adults, we need to do that.
Yeah, no, for sure, and I'm definitely down for the cause.
Yeah,
100%.
you don't have a choice. Sorry.
Well, I do have something I wanted to share too. So for those parents out there who, who might be a little unaware of your own stuff, here's a few ways that you may be encouraging your child to be a bully, and that you should probably stop. Or a little bit be more cognizant of it. So number one is gossiping. Number two, being too busy to show you care. Right? Always show you care. Being loving to each other and your family. Right? In front of your kids, showing your kids that you could be loving and caring in front of people, not hide it. 3, the I hate my's ...
The what?
I hate my ... quote unquote I hate my ...
Oh,
like
the negative.
Yeah, like don't stop being negative about yourself.
Positive affirmations.
Yeah, because that carries on. Like if you're saying that you hate, I hate that my hair is too frizzy, and your kid has the same grade of hair as you.
That's a really good point.
Like, you know what I'm saying? That kind of thing.
We put positive affirmations on the fridge, and
Yes,
Logan actually has he has them on his desk at school. So like, I am awesome, I am smart, I can do hard things like that. It's really important that your kids have positive affirmations.
Yeah. Number 4 is mini-me syndrome. Obviously, like now our current culture is like we're encouraging kids to like treat like them like mini adults, but kids are kids. So we have to take those burdens away from them. Like, let them be kids.
Yeah.
Over scheduling your kids with activities.
Yikes.
Always keeping them doing multiple things, like playing a million sports at once, and doing like going from here to there, and not giving your kid time to just de-stress, and do things that they truly want to do. That just leads to adding more stress or anger or aggression, things like that. Inconsistent rule enforcement. Obviously you got to be consistent. And then forcing your kids to share.
Oh.
Got to get them share how they're feeling. Get their feelings out.
Never go to bed mad. That's where that whole, I did that to my son the other night. And
teaching
he was just
whys.
cranky. Oh, the why.
The whys.
Yeah.
Like, why do you feel that way?
That's important in adult life, though.
Yeah, I think that's one that we should start doing. Everyone.
These are really good. You have another one?
That was it.
You actually just helped me a little bit. You don't even realize it in that, because this list is like the sports thing and the activities. I had to like catch myself the other day and be really mindful, because my son loves football and he waits all year for it, and soccer happens, fall soccer happens. Instead of just signing him up, I stopped and I said, "Hey, do you want to do both?" And he actually said no.
Right.
And so I had to be really mindful and stop myself to do that.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I mean, there's a lot of parents out there that'll just rack them up. I mean, I know kids on my basketball team that were doing 2 and 3 different sports. By the end of the season, they were bouncing back between 2 and 3 different things.
That's a lot.
And I mean, You know, it's just crazy. I mean, I know one. They came straight from a soccer game to our game, and you know, halfway dead at at my game. Like, you know, gotta
Yeah,
give
that's
kids
a
these
good one.
time, man.
But I think also, like,
I ain't telling people how to parent, but
I mean, some parents need to be told how to parent. I feel like there should be a manual. Um, be kind. Like, I can't stress this enough. You adults are influencing little minds, and you have to be really aware of that. I am not the same person that I was before I had my son. I am the first one to admit that. Uh, I never thought I would even have children or thought that I wanted children. And when my son was born, the boy saved my life. And he continues to save my life on a daily basis. But I changed my views, I changed my behavior. You just do that when you're a parent. And I have to be very mindful. I always say, like, my son is watching. And so, how do I want him to view me? How do I want him to grow up and treat his wife someday? You know, like, this is important. And so, don't raise bullies. That is all I'm going to say. Stop raising bullies.
I think we overall got to give kids the opportunity to practice the caring, um, the being helpful, um, the sharing, and express and explaining why each of those things are important. You know, and you got to do that every day, man. Every day. It's a nonstop effort. You know, that's what parenting is. You don't once you have a kid, you just don't throw in a towel, right?
It never stops. It's exhausting.
Like overall, just adults got to take responsibility, man.
Yeah. And treat other adults, because this happens to adults as well. Like, adult bullying is a very real thing and can also lead to suicide, to mental health, to anxiety. Don't do it. Like, if you are that unsettled with yourself, get help.
Be a good human, man. Just be a good human. That's the problem nowadays. Nobody wants to be a good human nowadays, man. It's a me cutthroat, like sell your mother for $1.
Mm.
You know,
I know people like that.
like it's ridiculous, man.
Well, my rant
We
is
got to
over.
be better.
I got my rant out.
We got to be better.
I agree.
And if anything, for the kids, man. Damn.
Yeah. Now Kirk is on fire. I shared my fire.
That's just it's just like I just can't with this kind of stuff, man. Like I just don't understand it. I don't understand it how people can allow themselves to and just they deflect all that stuff onto their children, and then their children start doing other things, and then you know I mean I could only I just know that like that's why some of these things are happening in these schools to this day. You know, not watching not watching your children, not being involved in their lives as deeply as you should, not being in tune with your children as much as you should. Um, you gotta be there. Like I just think about my parents. My parents, like, they were always in my stuff. Like, and back then I thought it was like doing too much, but now I think about it. I'm like, it was all for good reason. I wouldn't want it any other way, And it's just like,
Yeah, Dawn and I were talking about that at the field the other day. Like, there's a reason why we are psycho moms and we go through their text messages on their iPads and we weed out the bad. Like, we threw a kid out of the group chat because he was being so inappropriate. His parents don't watch him. Well, you got to go. Sorry, you can't hang with our kids because we have good boys, and I promise they're going to do bad things just like we all did.
Yeah,
but
I mean, kids are going to be kids, but
we're going to monitor it. Like, they were mad at us for going in there, but we do it for their safety. They're 9 years old. Like, I am going to be all over it. I need to know who everybody is, where they're going, who their parents are.
As with everything, like, there's a fine line for everything. And it's just it's okay to be overbearing, You can still be the cool mom, you can still be the cool dad, but while being on your kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can still you can be both. You can be all three. you know.
Yeah, I agree.
All right,
You
rant
got
over.
anything else for me, Kirk, on
I'm
this
done.
topic?
I'm
All
done.
right, guys, that's all for our rant today. But please, like, if you know a kid that's getting bullied, if you know of bullying prevention in your town, please take part in it. Please speak up. If you are a mom, have a voice. You deserve to have a voice. That's your kid. It's your blood. Protect it by all means necessary. And if you need help or you need tips, I am here for it. Kirk knows
I
I have a voice for a lot of people.
I really want. I mean, if you guys have any stories to share, anything like that, please comment in the comment section, and we're here.
Or hit us up at unpolishedpod@yahoo.com. And don't forget, be afraid and do it anyway.
Yes, indeed, and subscribe, like, comment. Um, Dang, we almost forgot it one more time. We were about to forget it again.
Here we go again. This episode is sponsored by Let's Go Sports.
Yes, indeed, and as always, peace and love, y'all.